I guess brief background on myself. I'm the son of a soybean breeder, so I grew up with soybean genetics, just part of the dinner conversation, and so this stuff is really interesting to me, and I hope it's interesting to you guys. Soybeans, at least relative to corn, has a narrow genetic base. There's not a lot of diversity in the crop, so it means when you're crossing it and trying to release new varieties, you don't have as much room to gain, right? Corn is much broader, so you can make broader crosses and you can get higher yield gain. Part of that is just how we got the crop, right? So 1,000 years ago, this is what soybean was. Just a viney mess. This is called glycine soja. I actually have it, those orange flags right there is where it's planted out in the field, competing with morning glory. Commercial soybeans are called glycine max, so they've been selected for 1,000 years to make an agricultural crop. But it went through a lot of selection. This is a plant introduction. This is named PI 88788. Anybody heard of that for anything? You see that in catalogs? We don't sell it commercially. 88788 is a source of soybean cyst nematode resistance. So this is a plant that was basically found in China, or at least somewhere in Asia. Went to universities amongst thousands of others. They grew it out, and through extensive screening, they said, "Oh, this actually reduces the reproductive rate of soybean cyst nematode. That's novel. That's neat. We can't grow this for yield. I don't have the seed with it. It makes tiny little black BB seeds. It doesn't have the same yield value as commercial beans. But we were able to take this and cross it in, and now I'd say over 80%, probably 90% of all of our soybeans today have this in its background to confer some cyst resistance." Bayer has a new contract. We're working with a genomics company to look at the genes within wild soybean, so we can actually take the genes inside this and see, is there anything useful for commercial beans? Because you can't cross this, you can't take the pollen and make anything useful. It just make a viney mess. But that's a new area of research. It's very exciting for me to look at kind of the development pipeline for soybeans. It's finally receiving some of the investment that that crop received many years ago. So as I stand here working with a Bayer hat, I'm very happy that this level of investment behind this crop is increasing. So I want to highlight now, moving into some of my research, what can we do for high management, right? I've done, this is one of 6 locations I've done across the state, so I get a lot of replication. I'll be doing it again next year, so here at Agro talk about 500 site years of data. That blows my mind from a statistical standpoint. But I'll be able to replicate these 6 locations for multiple years, and I'll have a pretty robust data set to understand the different interactions with our soybeans and management practices. The one study, I didn't do it here based off logistics, but I did a planting date. So 3 different planting dates as early as it could get out. It got out May 5th this year. And we did a mid-planting. It was about, I think it was the 16th we got it in. And then basically June 1st planting. So 3 different planting dates, and you can see how that affects yield. This first study here actually did seeding depth. So we planted as deep as we can go, probably just shy of 2 inches. And we got a 1-inch planting, and then we scratched the surface. I actually was trying to get under the soil, but half the beans ended up being on the soil. So I guess that has been kind of a newer topic. Do people still talk about seeding depth in beans? That's kind of been done, right? We kind of know the recommendation. You got to keep between 1.5 inches. Maybe on the shallower side if you're planting early season. Maybe go deeper if you're planting late. If you're in heavy clays, go ahead and go shallow. Or even sands, you want to go deeper. A lot of the work kind of changed. The work was redone in the University of Nebraska. They came out with a recommendation across the board, across environments. They're saying 1.75 inches for soybeans. So that kind of made me scratch my head. I hadn't heard that before, planting deeper in beans. So I kind of wanted to see it myself. I wanted to see it with my Credenz lineup. And this season, the deeper planting came up just fine. It was very uniform. It actually came up the same time as the 1-inch planting. You typically would see a little later emergence. The shallow, or actually ultra shallow, was delayed. I mean, it was planted in a dry soil, and so we know we need moisture for beans. I did we worked with a levo interaction with pre-emergent herbicides. So that basically what we covered with Nick's talking about our seed growth products. Next is our high management study. So we want to see, okay, how do our credenz genetics respond to our foliar products? So we sprayed all of our products individually and in combination. So we sprayed our Leverage 360 insecticide, Stratego Yield, Proline, and then we actually added a nutritional as a sixth application. So this allows us to actually show each variety by management. Do some varieties respond more to these applications than others? And that's going to be helpful because we talk, especially particularly in corn, a lot about racehorse varieties versus defensive varieties, workhorses. So we want to identify, are there certain varieties of beans that we need to be treating like racehorses and make sure they're getting all these applications to maximize yield potential. And then finally, the fourth study I have is our population study. So again, like I did here, we did 3 base populations, 90 to 190. Here actually went from 50 to 250, so a much wider range. And that's in the small plot data that allows me to develop a better data set to recommend each variety, a specific variety population. So that's the background of the research we're generating here. I guess I probably should have started more on the Credenz backstory. I get too excited about my research, but Credenz is a national soybean brand that we launched in 2014. It carries every mode of action, right? So we're carrying both Liberty and Roundup traits. That's in conjunction with our respective rotation message, right? We want to be able to carry the traits available for weed control. Full lineup of products. We're currently offering everything from group 0s through group 7s. So we've got a full catalog. Obviously here I'm showcasing our Liberty varieties. But as we move forward, as new traits become available, those will be available within the Credenz bag. So you can actually stay within one brand and carry every trait technology available